Hello and welcome to episode number 42 of the Wise Guys podcast. I am John Tortorelli with my co-host Brandon Capizzello. Today we have a couple of huge developments to discuss. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Green Bay Packers, and maybe a little bit on your Patriots head into Monday Night Football. Now, BCAP, we have to get straight into it. Meanwhile, Jay Ray cannot make it with us today, but fortunately we got the two of us here to discuss Tom Brady. The Buccaneers have lost two straight games, two backup quarterbacks, Mitchell Trubisky and PJ Walker. Not only that, but the Buccaneers defense, which was the most stout one in stopping the run last year, was ran all over this last week by Devontae Foreman and Chuba Hubbard. It's been an embarrassing couple of weeks for the Buccaneers. I ask you, Brandon, is this the end for Tom Brady?
Like, is this the end in terms this is his last season, or is he
We're watching the
washed?
downfall of his
So
own
yeah,
team.
is he falling off the cliff that everybody predicted 7 years ago?
His squad, because he's the ultimate winner. And when I look at this offensive line, it's inexperienced inside. The receivers and weapons are thin, and they can't run the football. And
Mhm.
quite truth be told, Tom Brady's not a top three quarterback.
Um, I can give you he's not playing like a top three quarterback. I will not say that. He's not, because he's still the best in my eyes. No, I don't think it's the downfall. I still think they win the division. And you can say it's because of the division they're in and it's a weak division. That's fine. You still play the people who are in front of you and you got to win the games. We just saw the last 2 weeks, two things that you probably didn't think were going to happen. The Steelers pulling out a win with Mitchell Trubisky against the Bucs, and PJ Walker, of all people, beating the Buccaneers without CMC and Robbie Anderson, not so much, but uh, from what I'm seeing about with the Bucs is I just think that there's something going on. I don't know what that is. And I'm not going to speak to the things that people want to point to because I don't get into people's personal lives. That's their business, not mine. Uh, but I will tell you that a big demoralizing hit, and I tweeted it when it happened, was on the first drive. I believe it was the first drive of the Buccaneers game. Mike Evans drops a 65-yard wide open touchdown pass. I mean, that you just shot yourself in the foot. I mean, that's a killer right there. That kills all momentum. That just destroys that. And Mike Evans even talked about it, I believe, in his post game interview or press conference, whatever they call it, where he said that was a big demoralizer for the team. Like, he saw it and he said that it took him a while to really get back into it. Did you know that the Buccaneers have not scored a touchdown in the first quarter? I believe all season. I think it is. And then right there, that would have been first touchdown in the first quarter all season, a big play on the first drive too. That now your mood is up. Now you're hyped. You see how people don't really want to talk about momentum like that, but you go from all the way up here to, oh damn, wow. And listen, I don't remember if I think Jamel Dean was ruled out of this game before the game, and I think Sean Murphy Button got injured in the game, or I'm getting them mixed up. One of the two. One of them was ruled out before the game, I believe, and the other one got injured in the game, if I'm getting that correctly. So that's two of your top corners. I actually, it might not be Jamel Dean that was injured. It's the other guy. Carlton Davis, third, yes. I think Jamel Dean played all the entire game, but you're out your top two corners. Shaq Barrett, where are you? You have 2 sacks all season. That was in one game in total, kind of like the Chandler Jones 5-sack game in the first game of last season, and then he did jack all for the rest of the season. Where are you, Shaq Barrett? They paid you all that money. Devin White is playing good. Levante David is doing the best he can, especially at 32 years of age and a lot of miles on those legs and that body. The offensive line we know is ravaged. We know all these we knew all these things. I'm just laying it out. We knew these things going into the season, right? Jensen, the center got injured before the season. Obviously Donovan Smith got injured in the first game. I believe he high percentage double. He's back. Akeem Hicks got injured, I think, in the third game of the season. He's been a big loss because they don't have Sue anymore, and he was a big plug, but they got him to really fill that role. He's been injured. They're hopefully both of those guys are going to get back. Jensen and Hicks. I think they're going to be coming back this season. Hicks before Jensen. We know Chris Godwin. I spoke about it in our last episode, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned it before the season. I'd be surprised if I didn't. That I said Chris Godwin is obviously coming off a torn ACL, and he doesn't really look the same as he did before the injury. I think anybody with eyes can see that he doesn't look the same. He doesn't have that same burst. Cameron Brate, for whatever reason, is not connecting with Tom Brady like I thought it would be. I didn't think it was going to be a lot of numbers. Okay, that's a big word for Brandon. I couldn't say it right now. A lot of numbers like a Gronk in his prime. No, I just thought it would be, solid numbers, a red zone target. They have really not been able to find a connection all season. And then last but not least, the run game. Leonard Fournette, where are you? You had that insane game, the first game of the season against Dallas, and that's looking like it was, not that big of a deal because Dallas is, I think, a bottom 5 rushing defense in all NFL this year. So where are you? You've given them nothing. They really have. I think they have 2 active running backs, or they only play 2 running backs. It's Rashad White and Leonard Fournette. Keyshawn Vaughn, if I'm getting his name correctly, he played last year. Where's he? Giovanni Bernard got injured, but they need to get. I texted you, John, and I said, there's 2 moves that I'm looking at, right? Both are on the trade block, but the 2 guys that I'm looking at, right, is one guy that played with Tom Brady back in New England for 1 year, a speedster. And if you didn't know this, I found out this afternoon. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the 31st ranked team in speed this season. They're the 2nd slowest team in the NFL. You know who number 1 is? Indianapolis. I should tell you something. So this is an old team. Brandon Cooks from the Houston Texans, speedster. If you bring him in, I know he's got it's not the friendliest contract next year. I think his base salary is $18 million next year with an opt-out after that. But this year is workable. I think you would be able to work it. I think the Bucs have $5 million in cap space, if I'm not mistaken, give or take. But Brandon Cooks you'd instantly supply him a deep threat that this team sorely needs. Obviously, without AB, they don't have that deep threat. Chris Godwin's coming off the torn ACL. Mike Evans is not really known for deep, but he can get deep, but he, not known for it. Brandon Cooks can come right in, and he's got that chemistry with Tom for that 1 year. Tom really spoke highly of him that 1 year that he played with him. He was a 1,000-yard receiver for Tom. And the second guy is Kareem Hunt out of the Cleveland Browns. That name just popped up recently. I think I saw it today, actually, that he's available, and his cap is not that bad. You could work with that. Bringing him in, I think obviously he's not playing as well this season, but being the lead back in Tampa Bay as a receiving back, we know what he can do, running the ball in and out of the backfield as a receiver. I think both those moves are one of those moves that if you're Tampa Bay, you make that move, and they both or one of them supply a much needed injection of a spark in this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team.
Brandon, to start the season, I said the Saints can win this division. It's not an absolute shoo-in for the Buccaneers. And you told me, John, what's the concern here with Tampa Bay? What is there to worry about with this team not winning 12 or 13 games? And I said, there's not quite one specifically, but there are things that can become issues. The interior offensive line. Todd Bowles' defense in recent weeks has been very much nowhere near what it was last year. And then, like you talk about the weapons, Brandon Cooks, he has an out after 2023, but the dead cap will be 25 to 27 million the following 2 years after this year. So for the Buccaneers, that would be a pretty heavy price to take on a player that realistically does not solve all of their issues. Right now, I don't think Tom Brady is the problem in Tampa Bay, but we're seeing he can't carry a unit the way a Patrick Mahomes maybe can. You look at the Chiefs and the lack of weapons and really just him being able to make it work with a committee of guys. You compare that to Tampa Bay.
He's got Travis Kelce, who's one of the great. He's entering
All-pro
the
tight end.
He's no, but not only that, he's entering the conversation as one of the greatest tight ends of all time. Like we got to start having those conversations. That's
Sure.
enough. All pro is a level, John. That's a great level. One of the greatest of all times. That's a different level.
Sure, you're right.
Juju
You're right.
Smith-Schuster coming off probably his best game as a Kansas City Chief. Uh, I'm not. I think he's a very good number two. I think you would agree with that, being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Um, his running back core is much better than Tampa Bay's. I mean, they've got a couple guys that can do. John,
I wouldn't go that
CEA.
far. CEH and
What is
Pacheco.
one of Tom's best weapons as a quarterback? His receiving backs, right? The Danny Woodheads, the Shane Vereen's, the oh my god, I'm blanking on a bunch of names, but you know what I mean. James
James
White.
White.
Sorry. Jerick McKinnon, does he not supply a spark for that Kansas City team when he's in the game? CEH, he can catch the ball and run. I know I'm forgetting one of their running back names. I think they got a third one out there.
When I watch
Tampa
Kansas City, I feel it's more so the scheme that can,
That's also true too. Andy Reid is a much better play caller than Byron Leftwich. Yes.
and that has been an issue for Tampa Bay as well. Two new
Mhm.
coordinators defensively. You got Larry Foote and Casey Rogers. Keep in mind these coordinators are new, and I feel like for Tom Brady, you lose these last couple of games. It is rough. But the damning thing about the Buccaneers is their next 7 games are against the Ravens at home, the Rams at home, the Seattle Seahawks, who, in this current point of time, are a more balanced playoff caliber team. That's at home. But then you got the Browns. They're not going to have Deshaun Watson at that point, November 27th. The Saints at home, the San Francisco 49ers in San Fran, and then the Cincinnati Bengals at home. That's a tough schedule. And if you
Mhm.
split and let's say you go 3-4 in that stretch, if they start the year 6-8, it's over. You're not making the playoffs at 9-8. And I think while this division will still be up in the air, I think the Falcons are going to be right there with them. And if the Buccaneers are having to play their way through the wild card with all their issues so far this year, they're first round exit. And that right there may be the lasting image for Tom. The last one we think about this forgettable season, which many expected early on to be a Super Bowl run. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Best Stamp. When it comes to sports betting, Best Stamp is changing the game. You want to maximize your return, and with the Best Stamp app, all you have to do is download it and sign up on their different affiliate sportsbooks, and you can see all the best odds given straight to you in one single place. The visual tools are very helpful, and by the end of the year, you can use it for accounting. You can get all the analytics that you'll need so that you can bet like a pro. Be sure to use our referral code at WiseGuys, WISEGUYS. Thank you to BetStamp for supporting us, and as always, back to the show.
So John, I still believe it is a super. There's a Super Bowl run in there. What are the like key what would fix not Tom Brady? What would fix the Tampa Bay Buccaneers woes to make you change to be like, okay, they are the Super Bowl contender that a lot of people do believe that they are. Like, what would change? Like, just give me your speech.
I think it can be multiple things at once. The offensive
Mhm.
line being healthy, Chris
Okay.
Godwin, and Mike Evans. Godwin has never fully clicked with Tom Brady. He did in Jameis's last year at the team. If you were to get a fully healthy Chris Godwin and Mike Evans together, that 1A, 1B would make this a contender. But
Okay.
without it, it's just
I
too one
yeah,
dimensional.
I do want to speak in something that's realistic because we obviously know Chris Godwin's not going to be 100% this year. That's next year we're talking. I want to talk about this year. So the first thing you said was the offensive line, right? That I believe is going to be healthy. Donovan Smith is back. His elbow is going to get better. Luke Godecki, the rookie, I believe he will get better with time. You got Shaq Mason. He's played with Tom. I think he's going to be able to get chemistry. Like we all know that the offensive line is a big chemistry part. And then you got Tristan Wirfs, who's still one of the best tackles in the game, right tackles or overall tackles if you want. Ryan Jensen is rumored to be back earliest week 9. Probably not that. I would say maybe more towards a December date, but he will be back, and he's a big part to that offensive line. He's Tom really likes him. Uh, and he'll actually, get somebody he's more comfortable with under center, which is a very important part of football that a lot of people forget, me included. The center is very, very critical. So the offensive line, right, that can be fixed. If they make a move for either a Brandon Cooks or Kareem Hunt, because obviously we could say they're not going to get both of them. If they make a move for either one of them, who would you go for? And do you think that helps out a lot more?
I don't think any move is saving this Buccaneers team. It's a matter of health, coaching, scheme, and just most of all, this talent. It's one of the best rosters in football, but it just
Yeah.
hasn't come together. The tackles, the wide receivers, whether it's been injuries this year or just a lack of cohesion, this
Yeah.
Buccaneers team feels off. It's
Yeah.
much different than the second half of the 2020 season.
Yes. I said that when I first started talking. But that's what I'm saying. Like, we're in what are we in? Week 7 now, going into week 8. There's still time. It's still relatively early. It's relatively early. This division is still open. It's easily winnable. I still think the Bucs are going to be a double-digit win team. I believe it. Because I believe that they're going to be able to get this fixed. I don't remember when their bye week is. I think it's soon. It might be week 10, if I'm not mistaken. But it's all
Week
about getting
11.
health. Week 11. That's a pretty good time. So in the next couple weeks, it's all about getting right at the right time, right? Firing all cylinders, getting the chemistry, being healthy at the right time. The Bucs did that in 2020. Now you say this isn't the same team. I agree with that. It's the how do I say it? The core of the team is still honestly the same team as it was. Obviously, they're missing some people, but they still got 3 of the best linebackers in the game, one of the best linebacking units in the game. They're not playing like it, but talent-wise, they are one of the best linebacking units in the game. Antoine Winfield Jr. is a beast out of the safety position. You still got Vita Vea on the D line. Logan Hall is a big boy up front. Akeem Hicks, like I said, he's going to get healthy. He's going to be back. I think probably within the next 2 weeks, he's going to be back.
How'd they do against Carolina on Sunday, those guys?
With which guys?
That defense you just listed off to me, how'd they look against that Carolina Panthers offense?
Well, that's what I said. Akeem Hicks was in. He didn't play. And like I said, Sean Murphy Button did not play, and Carlton Davis III got injured in the game where did not play the entire game.
And Antoine Winfield has a concussion. He's going to miss next
Okay.
week against
Okay.
the Ravens.
Oh, okay. I actually didn't know that. I didn't see that on the injury report. So he's missing the game against the Ravens?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So again, I think maybe they get both their top 2 cornerbacks back this Thursday. Maybe not, because it's such a quick turnaround. That defense didn't play well. I've been saying that the last couple of weeks. Is the defense caused a turnover? When's the last time this defense got a turnover? It's been a couple weeks.
The Steelers, they had 1 pick.
Yeah. No, they didn't. They didn't turn the ball over against the Steelers. Their last turnover was a couple.
Oh no,
weeks
you're
ago.
right. Kenny Pickett didn't have a pick.
No, they did. That's what I'm saying. And look at the shock. You thought that they did just because, they did. You would think that with a Mitchell Trubisky-led team, or Kenny Pickett, who's throwing an interception, every other game except for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, which is absolutely shocking. You would think PJ Walker would turn the football over once. Nope. Has this defense given Tom any help whatsoever? No.
In the Steeler game, they gave Tom help. The entire second quarter and third quarter, he had many opportunities.
I'm talking as a turnover. You want to get this, if this offense is lacking, and what we're saying is it's lacking, then give the offense a little boost by giving them a short field. Get them a little bit confidence rolling. What do they say about receivers early in the game? Let them just touch the ball on the first drive. Let them just touch the ball on one of the first couple plays. Get their confidence going. Give your offense a short field and let's see what happens after that. Again, but this defense is not playing. And I give it to you. Listen, is Tom playing like last year, Tom? No, he doesn't have the numbers that Tom had last year. Obviously not. But is he turning the football over? Just a question. Is he? How many turnovers he's got all year? 2. He's got a fumble and he's got an interception. That's it. That's one of the best in the NFL. And when you couple that with a defense that's giving you no turnovers in the last couple weeks, and then you also couple that with no run game, no support in the run game whatsoever. You couple that with an offensive line that is having trouble protecting. And then you couple that with Chris Godwin, who's coming off a torn ACL and doesn't look like he's got the same burst. He can still catch the ball and he's still physical as hell. I'm not going to take that away from him, but he just doesn't have the burst that he did last year before the injury. And then you get Mike Evans that dropped it. It's like, come on. And like against the Steelers, I don't get caught up in the numbers like you and Justin. I understand it's easy to get caught up in the numbers, right? A lot of people do. They look at the numbers and they go, "Oh my God, look." Tom Brady's been there, done that with the numbers. For me, I've always been, did you win at the end of the day? Did you win? I don't care what you put up. Did you win at the end of the day? They didn't get the job done. But you're not going to – the Carolina game, okay, whatever. That they didn't even have a chance. The game against Green Bay and the game against the Steelers came down to a 2-point conversion tie. You're not going to sit here and tell me they weren't in the game. And you can make fun of me all you want. Oh, but Brandon, Tom Brady only putting up 18 points against that trash Steelers defense. Oh, Brandon, that Tom Brady only putting up 12 points against that terrible Packers defense. I don't care about the numbers and the stats. Did you get a W at the end of the day? He didn't, but he was still in the field to get that W.
So week 2 against the Saints, the Buccaneers got 5 turnovers.
Yes.
In the 5 weeks since then, they've gotten a grand total of 3. They've not gotten a single one, fumble or interception, since October 2nd.
And we should say against that Saints team with Jameis Winston, who's a turnover machine.
Hell yeah. And in the first quarter this year, the Broncos have went from 6.5 points per game last year to 2.6 this season. The Buccaneers have a lot of problems. I believe at the root of it is coaching turnover. Todd Bowles has a lot to prove, and to me, he seems more fit to be the coordinator type. His OC has not done a good job at all. I feel his Buccaneers offense was much better with Bruce Arians, in part to the offensive line being better, and also the offense just clicking in the passing game. So far this year, it has been wobbly, and defensively, this team is AFK. So there's a lot of issues right now in Tampa Bay.
I hate to say it. I really do, because I really like Todd Bowles and I was rooting for him, but it's you got to think if Bruce Arians was still there and Todd Bowles was in the defensive coordinator spot and Byron Leftwich was in his OC spot like he still is, would this Tampa Bay team have lost the game against the Steelers?
2 backup quarterbacks. Don't forget it.
2 backup. The Carolina game, I'm only talking about the games that were close because the Carolina game became 21-3 at that.
That Falcon game got a little bit too close to comfort too in the fourth quarter. That one was way too close.
It did. But again, this team didn't look like that when Bruce. And I know people will say, "Oh, but Gronk's gone, AB's gone, and Ndamukong Suh's gone, JPP's gone, Kappa's gone, Marpet's gone." Those guys ain't coming back. None of those guys come. I mean, you could call Ndamukong Suh. He's still on the free agency, but he's not going to change your life. And I think he's pretty cool with probably walking into the sunset.
And a guy we haven't mentioned, Julio Jones.
I thought he was en route to have a big season. I thought, a couple plays here and there, like, in the game, like a couple catches in the game. I didn't think he was going to be like, 1,000-yard receiving guy. I don't. But could he make some big plays? And we saw it against Dallas. The 43-yard bomb, I believe it was. It was beauty. Where are you, Julio? First it's a hamstring. Now it's looking like it's a knee injury. He can't stay healthy. It sucks. That's why I say they have to make a move. I do believe 100% that the Buccaneers have to make a move before this November. The trade line is November 1st. We're closing in on it. What's today's date? The 24th? 4th? Closing in on it. It's about to be 25th tomorrow. Got 6 days, right? My math correct? 7 days maybe. Got to make a move. I think Brandon Cooks or Kareem Hunt would be big spark guys for this team. I truly believe that.
Talking about a team that is absolutely bad in recent weeks. The Green Bay Packers made a massive mistake this offseason. But it wasn't just one. It was a series of terrible moves. And we're now seeing
unfortunate events, John.
Series
of unfortunate events. It's a book and a TV show and a movie.
Well, the Packers this year have been dismal. You nearly lose to Bailey Zappi in his first NFL game. Daniel Jones, playing through an injury, you lose to in London. Okay. Zach Wilson you then lose to, who just got back from injury. And this last week, you lose to Taylor Heineke. The Packers sit at 3-4, and it's very clear the Vikings are winning this division. Kirk Cousins this year has been better than Aaron Rodgers. The Vikings have been much better coached, and most of all, when you compare these two rosters, they've been elevated far more. The Packers have one of the worst GMs in football, in Brian Gutekunst. When I looked at his offseason, you move Devontae Adams, and the first round of the draft, what do, Brandon? Instead of taking a receiver, George Pickens, you take a linebacker in Quay Walker, who's a pure developmental piece. Developmental. Aaron Rodgers, 37. Developmental pieces do not help you, especially when offensively your number one receiver is Allen Lazard. It's only because of Aaron Rodgers that Allen Lazard puts up decent numbers each and every single week. The only thing they did well this offseason was taking Romeo Doubs on day 3. Because when I look at this Packers offense, it is an absolute train wreck. The defense oftentimes shows what it can be, but they have one of the worst defensive coordinators in football, Brand. It is so oblivious. The defensive coordinator has to go, the GM has to go, and in terms of ownership, the Packers have many parties. It feels like this franchise is far too conservative and most of all, afraid of change in this current NFL. If you trade Aaron Rodgers this last offseason, you put yourself in a similar ilk to the Seattle Seahawks after moving Russell Wilson, the Atlanta Falcons after moving Matt Ryan, and the Detroit Lions after they parted ways with Matthew Stafford. You look at those 3 teams, the pressure, the expectation, the disappointment, all of that was lifted off their shoulders. We look at the Seahawks. This last draft, they killed it. You get 2 tackles of the future, a back in Kenneth Walker who's going to be a stud for nothing, an outside linebacker in Boye Mafe, and a cornerback in Tariq Woolen, who has been a superstar. 6'4", runs a 4'3". He's insane. And then you look at the Packers draft. You had 2 first-round picks. You take a defensive tackle who does not play, and a linebacker in Quay Walker who just is lost. I'm not the Dan Orlovsky of the world, and I can pretty easily tell this guy should not be starting in the NFL. And to make matters worse, the offensive line's injuries. Hilton Jenkins and David Bakhtiari have not been able to get back to that level. When I said the Packers were a dark horse Super Bowl contender this year, that was assuming those 2 guys could get back to what they were. But Bakhtiari this year has been nowhere near that stud left tackle that Packer fans have known and loved for a long time now. And now, Brandon, we're looking at Aaron Rodgers, and he is going out sad. Much like Tom Brady, but it's even worse. Rodgers is not going to take any team to the highest levels by himself. And when I look at this roster, I say to myself, the defense should be elite, and they're middling. The offense should be decent, and quite frankly, it is terrible. So Green Bay, they're going to miss the playoffs at this point. When you look at how bad and how poor direction they're trending in, their upcoming games are against the Buffalo Bills, the Detroit Lions, and that could be a close game, the Dallas Cowboys with Dak Prescott a month healthy, the Tennessee Titans, a well-coached, balanced team, something the Packers are not, and then the Eagles. You're lucky to win 2 of those games. If that's the case, you're starting off the year at what, 5-6? I mean, in this division, you're lucky to get to the wild card. And looking at all this team's deficiencies, and most of all, the inadequate coaching, a lot of it stems from the play calling on offense with Matt LaFleur. But Aaron Rodgers this year has not been a top 4 quarterback. And most of all, they're in a terrible situation. I mean, now you're stuck with Aaron making all this money, and this could be his last year of the team. I think the Packers are the biggest loser this last offseason in the NFL. And boy, was keeping Aaron Rodgers a fool's errand, given the fact if they drafted George Pickens, I wouldn't be saying this, but they didn't, so it was a terrible mistake.
Okay, a lot. I Again, I'm not going to jump off the wagon yet of the Green Bay playoff team because I do still think that there is a pathway uh, similar to the pathway, I believe, of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where I think that they can get it together. I think that they need to make a move similar to the Tampa Bay, but I'm going to make a lot of points similar to what because I feel like they're going through similar flaws right now. They're going through similar situations, I should say. I should say. Um, yeah, I think a DJ Moore move would be a very good one for Green Bay. I mean, they really haven't used their 2 running backs like we really thought. Like in the couple of games that they have used them, I mean, they've been big, but they've kind of gotten shut down and they don't really get the touches that they should be getting. It's bad. It's bad all over. The defense is not playing well at all. I mean, yeah, those bad draft by Green Bay. I 100% agree. But I do think that this team can get it together. I think that they can sneak in. I think if they rally together, I know I'm asking a lot for Aaron Rodgers to rally the troops. But I do think there's a pathway like I talked about in 2016, they were 4-6, and they ripped off 6 straight wins. Now, obviously, their schedule is not very favorable, but you know what? I'm going to say this: when Aaron Rodgers is leading a team, I'm never going to count him out in a game. I'm just not, especially a regular season game. I'm just not. I would if we came here next Monday because they play the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football in Buffalo, and they're uh, uh, underdogs by 10.5 points sitting right now. The odds could change. I'm going to tell you right now, I would not be surprised if Green Bay won that game because Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. I can't hear you, John. I really wouldn't be surprised.
He has not been Aaron Rodgers this year.
Yeah, he hasn't. But again, they were saying the same thing back in 2016. They were. He's not the guy. They said the same thing about Tom Brady in the years, the big blowout against the Chiefs. The Patriots dynasty is done. They've said this before. They said this about Patrick Mahomes last year. The NFL has figured Patrick Mahomes out. No, Patrick Mahomes is just learning how to play a fundamental quarterback, and he's just learning now because nobody, I guess, no, QB coach or head coach decided to be like, hey, Pat, you know, this game has been won in the pocket for over 70 years, so maybe we should, do that a lot more. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, John. I really wouldn't be surprised because it's Aaron Rodgers and it's Aaron Rodgers. They're like, again, it's not the same team as last year. Devontae Adams is gone, but this is a guy who was a back-to-back MVP. He was two-time back-to-back MVP. They were 13-3 or 13-4, 13-3 the last 2 seasons.
Unfortunately, BCAP, this squad does not have Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, and Devontae Adams all in the
Well, they
receiver.
have Randall Cobb, but they don't have the old Randall Cobb.
He
Yes,
is also injured.
yes.
So with the Packers, they're lucky to make it to the postseason, and we're usually expecting Aaron
Do
Rodgers to
you
be
think,
great in
John?
the
I
regular
should ask you
season.
this: do you think DJ Moore would help this team?
Yes, but do you think the Packers would trade for DJ Moore? It'd be like it's like the Boston Celtics trading for a star. It just never happens. You're always going to hear the
Yes,
rumors. They're always going to be in the discussion, but they never get it done.
I do. I do agree with that. I mean, there has been, like you just said, there has been reports and rumors, and I'm not sure, but I think Aaron Rodgers said in an interview or whatever that there have been discussions between him and the GM or
Sure,
whatever.
very long
But
ones.
again, I mean, listen, things should. I hope that they make a move. I mean, you'd have to be a blind man to not see that the receivers are not getting it done on this team.
I mean, the only move that's going to fix this team is changing the defensive coordinator, firing the GM, and most of all, just fixing this entire offense. DJ Moore is a nice band aid because he's a top 15 receiver in the league, but that's not going to fix the woes this team has, playing so conservative, dropping back. The secondary is too talented. The front seven is too good for this Packers unit. We've seen some regression from Devontae Campbell, but this last week, he had a pick six. The dude looked really good. I'm just done with Green Bay. I was in on them, and it was a terrible mistake, so
Oh,
enough of them.
John, they missed in the playoffs.
Ask me, are the Packers missing the playoffs?
Are the Packers missing the playoffs, Sean?
They're going to get in by the skin of their teeth. I think they're going to pull it
Seventh?
together and win 9, 10 games this year and just get in. And they get knocked down in the first round like they usually do. Or
So
knocked out of the playoffs.
who's okay, so let's go over it right real quick. Philly is in. They're a lock.
Yes.
Minnesota's a lock for you. This is for you, not for me. Minnesota and Philly are locks. Dallas is a lock.
As a wild card, I think they'll be the
Okay.
number 5.
Tampa's a lock.
They'll be the number 4 seed. I think the number 3 seed is going to be Seattle because Seattle right now is the best team in the NFC West. But
That's what I was gonna ask. Is it 49ers or is it Rams coming out of that division? Or
49ers are
Seattle
going to
if
win
you
that.
okay. So that's 5 right there, right? So we got 2 more teams. So we got either Green Bay, we got New York, we got Seattle, or we got Los Angeles. 2 of those teams are in, 2 of those teams are out. Who are the 2 making it?
Giants are making it.
Okay, so they're in.
Double the wins, much easier schedule, and much better coaching with upside.
So are the reigning defending Super Bowl champions missing the playoffs? Are the back-to-back MVP 13-4, 13-3 team missing the playoffs? Or is Seattle?
If I'm between the Rams, the Packers, and Seattle, Seattle has a chance. Geno Smith has been really good, but I think the Packers just get in.
Okay, so you're going Green Bay is making the playoffs then. And the Rams are missing, and so is Seattle.
I had the Rams missing the playoffs.
Interesting. I don't agree with that.
The Patriots are playing the Bears tonight on Monday Night Football. What is your expectation with Mac Jones being reinserted into the lineup? Third week of Taekwon Thornton.
We could Tyquan Thornton. Now Isaiah Wynn and Christian Barmore are out. Those are two losses that we have. I won't say they're like massive losses, but there's some losses there. But like you said, Mac and Cheese is back. I'm going to keep a keen eye on that ankle to see, especially how he drops back, how it looks comfortable wise. I wonder how much he's going to be under center because of with the dropbacks and having to squat down and whatnot on that ankle. It's going to be interesting. Kendrick Bourne is out too. He's got a turf toe, but Jacoby Myers there. That's his favorite target. They have a connection. Even when he wasn't playing well the first 2 weeks, he still had a connection with Jacoby Myers. If I said that before, I might have said Jacoby Jones. Did I say Jacoby Jones? I said, okay, Jacoby Myers. But yeah, I'm interested to listen. I already said I think that we're winning by double digits tonight. I truly believe that. I think this defense is gonna. I should say this Chicago Bears offense is gonna have a very, very tough time scoring on this Patriots defense. We shut out the number one scoring offense in the Detroit Lions coming into that week. We shut down the number one rushing attack in football. Still, Cleveland Browns. What are the Chicago Bears going to do to us offensively? What is the Justin Fields is sorry. Okay, Bill Belichick has got a scheme to. What do they do best? Run the football. David Montgomery, maybe would you say is that
Your
is what
secondary and just running the football.
running the football. So we're going to shut
Old
down the
school.
running game. That's going to be the main focus for the Patriots defense. Shut down the run game. Our corners are playing very good. We're deep in safety. I don't see a path where the Chicago Bears if they get a touchdown, they might get a touchdown. I'm gonna say I think they might only get 6 points, if that.
That's
I
very
truly
fair.
believe that.
With all
I
that
truly
being said, thank you so much for watching and staying to the very end of episode number 42. I've been John Tortorelli. This was Brandon Capizzello. Check out Best Stamp link in the description. And as always, we will see you next time. Peace.
They clash.